Game Developer Sessions 2016. I'm going to be talking about this war of mine, what happened in between after the release. Interestingly, it's not a self-promotion. I see the same banner over here. It's recycling technology. I was doing a speech about our game, how to design a serious game, exactly 2 years ago at Game Developer Session in Praha. On the very day, the game landed on Steam. When I was on the plane, I had no idea what's going on. I was the only guy not celebrating the release in the office. I was calling our guys, they were all drunk, so I'm guessing it went pretty fine. And then I realized the game becomes a massive hit and goes to #1 on Steam. So after the release, 2 years by today, many things happened in between. Just for those who doesn't know the game, it's practically a game about civilians in war, about suffering, about overcoming challenges, about physical challenges, emotional toll people need to carry. So in the end, it became an anti-war game. However, technically, it's a survival game because you need to survive a siege of a city, survive a war. And where did we go? What happened during these 2 years? Let's begin with the media coverage to give you some overview. The game became what we call a media darling. So a game that practically has been everywhere. So I'm not talking about gaming media like IGN games about Chess 11, but the big ones as well, the New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian, The Zeit. It was on BBC. It became such a media darling for mainstream media that even in Poland there was a media-wise discussion about the game. It became a topic for museums, which I'm very proud of. We didn't expect it, to be honest, but now it's on the game is on the exhibition in the Museum of Design in London. It's a part of exhibition by the German Goethe Institute. It's an exhibition traveling all around the world. It started in Mexico City, now it's in South Africa, in Johannesburg, as far as I remember. It's a part of an exhibition starting next year in the Royal Victoria Museum in London, a museum in Seattle, and many others. So it became like a phenomenon across not only gaming world, but I would even say pop culture, because before that, people didn't expect that a game can be an anti-war game, because war was so saturated in gaming world, because we had all those Call of Duties and Battlefields and everything where you're the super soldier and you shoot millions of bullets and you win the war and blah blah blah, you know the story. So it became an anti-war phenomenon, and we even didn't expect that massive coverage, but it's been pretty much everywhere in every mainstream media all around the world. It's got a ton of awards, including Independent Games Festival Audience Award, South by Southwest. Interestingly, last month we got an award from Polish Ministry of Culture and National Heritage for this war of mine, and it's the very first game in the history, at least in Poland, that was considered a national heritage object or thing, or artwork, or whatever you call it. And I'm very proud of it. No matter what government would be ruling Poland, I would be proud because it's a national heritage, something amazing for me. So the game became a more than a game, it became a media topic, it still is. However, there's a really interesting story about Newsweek Poland. What happened? Shortly after the release, we had an article made for Newsweek Poland, and you can see me and Pavel Miechowski, our PR guy, in a sort of aggressive pose, maybe. And it says in Polish, how to make money in war. And this article was not only negative about the game, which can be because a review can be positive, negative, wherever. It's a subjective opinion. But those guys were claiming that we are making money on war. which is kind of ironic if you make anti-war game and media are perceiving it as a, Newsweek in this case, as a thing that you are making money on. And what happened next is that we didn't fight Newsweek, fight back, we just accepted, okay, this is their opinion. By the way, there was a professor of, I can't remember exactly, from Jagiellonian University in Krakow, professor of psychology and something, and he criticized the game that it's a fun for killing, or fun from killing, to be precise. What I realized while reading his opinion, that he actually didn't play our game, yet he criticized it. A guy with the title of a professor, let's try it. Anyway, all Polish media defended us. We didn't expect it. It's somehow we realized that the game became a sort of little national treasure. The big treasure is the Witcher game, obviously, but this one became the little treasure. And media defended us. Even there was an article in Tygodnik Powszechny. It's a weekly newspaper printed in Krakow. It's a Catholic newspaper, yet they defended us. They defended a game. So we were struck that, okay, even Catholic newspaper can be on our side because they got the anti-war message that we were trying to spread with a game. So in the end, all media in Poland, including mainstream television like TV Poland, Polsat, TVN, all of the big TV mainstream media defended our game because Newsweek practically made a ton of shit on us. Screw them. Commercially wise, as you can see, I'm quite proud of it. The game was competing against huge titles back then, Call of Duty, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and it outsold them. It became #1, and some, till this day, it's selling pretty well. Just to give you some numbers, you know, Steam Spy is pretty more accurate, so we're telling about almost 1.5 million units sold on Steam. It's doing very well on consoles as well and on mobiles. I'm going to be talking about it a bit later, with a really good user score. It was even 97% at some point, but we screwed something up with DLC called The Little Ones. I'm also going to be talking a bit later about it. This is something we're trying to fix, yet the user score is really, really good, so the perception is amazing. Sometimes there are user reviews that you may know from your personal experience that you have a player who has 30 hours of a playtime and he says boring. So, okay, you need 30 hours to figure out if the game is boring. That's interesting. Okay, so what happened after the release? The first thing is that we started cooperation with WarChild. WarChild is a charity organization, non-governmental, from London. They have a Dutch division as well, and in a few other countries. However, headquarters are in London. We figured out it's the right thing to do. Plus, we could because we made a ton of money on the game. So involving charity was always our thing. We were one of the very first teams in the world to start to work with Humble Bundle, a long time before monthly subscriptions and all those bundles flooding us nowadays in Humble Bundle. So back in the days, you had this bundle like every half a year or something, we were there. So we're supporting charity through NGOs for quite a long time. And first thing was that we've made a gallery with street artists, I'm going to tell you a bit later. And we've raised through the gallery 65,000 US dollars, which is a pretty decent number. We've made everything for free just because we could. And that was an in-game gallery made with street artists from Poland, UK, Italy, France, Canada, United States, and Ireland, I think. And the in-game gallery was a DLC on Steam. In Initially, the same gallery was sold for $1. Actually, it's still being sold, and we still raise money for War Child. For $1, $10, and $20. The same stuff, just different pricings. And we communicated to people, okay, if you want to help, buy the cheapest one. If you have more money, don't hesitate to buy the $10 gallery or maybe even 20. And by this day, we've raised over $160,000 for War Child. That's equal to help for over 500 children in war zones. The program we are supporting is focused on helping Syrian refugee children in neighboring countries such as Jordan, Iraq, Turkey. When you look at what's happening in the world, it's a ton of shit happening in Syria nowadays. This is a very, pardon my French, fucked up situation. And we feel obliged to help in a way we can. Raising money is it. Like, we cannot just leave our offices and go there to help. So we're doing it this way. Luckily, War Child is quite honest when it comes to spending money on the operational costs, because when it comes to them, it's about 70 to 75% spent actually on children, not on their salaries, which is good. Then we started working on the little ones, which was initially a console edition of This War of Mine. We had internal discussions whether we should include children in a war game or not, because when you look at the history of games, that was a big taboo. You don't actually have children in war games because it's a very, very painful topic. But we felt like it's a missing thing in the game. We had to have it to complete the big picture, and we did it. However, the children in the game don't die. So we didn't want it to cross the line, and not because it's a taboo again, but because this game, it's not about showing gore, blood, violence. It's actually all about opposite. So about avoiding violence, about supporting each other, about being a human being in a very, very tough times. So children don't die in the game. However, you may lose them. If a child is in a very bad shape, sick, hungry, wounded, the Red Cross or some other events in the scenario may happen, and you lose children. We figure out that when you get attached to your characters, when you lose a child, it's painful enough emotionally without showing actual death. However, we've been asked many times by media, okay, in the times of war, children suffering, it's a very tough topic, why aren't you showing it explicitly? And we figure out, since games are a form of art, we can use allegories, and that's enough to show the painful loss. We've been working on it with Deep Silver / Koch Media. Back then, we were in a situation where we needed a publisher. We don't anymore. If you ask me about cooperation with Deep Silver, I would say like, okay, 5, maybe 6 out of 10. I can recommend this publisher because they have a really good distribution network. As a guys who can make marketing, I think we do better than them. Then we've made a mobile edition. Interestingly, we are charging this game for $15, which is an expensive amount for a mobile game, but it works. We are selling huge amounts of units on mobiles. So we figure out that if you have a premium, typical hardcore game and you want to go to mobile, you should do it this way, not the opposite. First, you can create hype on PCs because it's relatively easy. PC community is active, they support your title, they are well-organized community. They read PC Gamer, they read IGN, they read GameSpot, they watch YouTube videos, Total Biscuit, blah, blah, blah.
etc. So it's relatively easy to create a hype on PC and go then to mobiles. And if your brand is strong enough, you shouldn't worry about pricing, because the premium games actually sell on mobiles. Then we've decided to make mod tools. Our communication was always to be serious with this game, not to make jokes, not to be funny, because it's a serious game. However, the community was not that always. You can see Lord Gaben being available as a character in one of the mods. There were porn stars, of course, because why not? It's the gaming community, right? And there was the American edition of Playboy magazine asking us about this topic. There was the article about the game in Playboy. And okay, so you have a serious game. Aren't you afraid that there are porn stars and Lord Gaben in this war of mine? And our reply was, no, not really. We're all about creativity. So in the end, I still believe the serious personal stories will be the key in created via modding tools that we delivered. And in fact, that was the truth. So the funny stories with Lord Gaben and porn stars, they are there available on Steam through Steam Workshop. But the core ones, like, for example, Cold War scenario, made by one guy through modding tools, are there. And they constitute the essence of the stories made available through Workshop in this war of mine. Then, we had a plan last year during Game Developer Conference in San Francisco. I had this idea to break a record of the biggest number of translations. So what we simply wanted to do is we wanted to translate this war of mine to like 100 languages, to be available pretty much to everyone. Arabic, Pashto, all those languages. So I've made a calculation that rough translation of our game costs about between $2,000 and $3,000. So for a first batch, we would need, say, $50,000 to have roughly 20-something translations, apart from the already available ones, of course. But our board guys said, no, this is expensive, let's not do it. And then what happened is we translated the game to Chinese, to simplified Chinese, and released it on iOS in China, on Chinese App Store. And we sold 100,000 units in a week, making almost $500,000 in a week. So even if we would translate to 20 languages for 50,000, it would be paid off in 1-2 days. So I'm pretty angry on my board that they didn't give me green light to do it. What we decided to do instead was a Babel Tool. So it's a tool created for community translations. It allows for pretty much automatic translations of a game, our game, because technically, from our engine, we are able to export XML files with all the written entire language version. And then what you need to do is to add another column, export it into the engine again, and poof, translation is done. So Babel pretty much is supporting it. So far, the community guys translated it to 6 languages, including Czechski. That's Czechski, Czech, Thai, Vietnamese, I think Finnish, Romanian, and Swedish, probably. But the good thing is that it's still working, so some translations are being done right now. Plus, this tool will be used for all our future games. Actually, if someone is interested in this tool, let's talk later. Let's talk. I think we can make it available for other guys as well, unless your game is not supporting XML files when it comes to language. The other thing we've made, we thought that the game is taking place in modern times, so it really makes sense to make more diverse characters. We don't have this issue like Dan Vavra had with Kingdom Come, that this was this ridiculous article, I think, on Polygon, saying that why there are no black people in Kingdom Come. You remember this ridiculous issue, like, because in medieval Europe, in Bohemia, there was no black people. And I totally understand Dan with this thing. However, this war of mine is taking place in modern times. So we figure out we want to add more people, Asian, African, more European people, that kind of thing. Because it wasn't controversial, there was no big coverage with this edition, sadly. However, there were interesting stories about it, because as much as it's easy as it is to get Asian people in Warsaw, because 50,000 Vietnamese people are living in Warsaw by this day. I'm guessing there are a lot of in Prague as well. So it was really easy to find friends who know Vietnamese people, so we invited them. The reason why we had to do it is that in this war of mine, all the characters are 3D scanned and photographed, so all the characters in the game are us, or either the people we met or invited, and so on. So even we missed some African people, so to get some, for example, I did that. I met some black guy on the street, and I asked, hey, you want to be in a game? And he was like, what? Yeah, come to our office, we're gonna make photographs, we're gonna scan you, you're gonna be paid for it. And it happened. He came to our office and the next day, and sure, I want to be in the game. The next thing, we've delivered scenario editor with one of the updates where you can actually make your own story. It was pretty much at the same time when we delivered the console edition, and we screwed it up. Sadly, because on Steam you could share your scenarios through workshop for different gamers, and on consoles you could just make a scenario for yourself, which in the end happens to be what I mean. In this war of mine, you play the game surprising you with many things you're not ready for. But when you make your own scenario, you know what's going to happen. How long is it going to last? What are going to be the events in between? What will be the winter, which is a big surprise in the game when the winter strikes. You knew it when creating your own scenario. So, for example, on GameSpot, they gave us lower score, which was 7 out of 10, because of the scenario editor. They wrote like, this game is about surprising you with things you don't expect, and then you can create your own story that you know what's going to happen in this story. And I understand their point, they are right. So on Steam, we've made the stories available through workshop for other gamers. So if you download a scenario made by some other person that you actually, then you don't know what's going to happen. And in this case, you have a bigger number of scenarios available for you. That's how it looked like. You could pick when the winter comes, how it's gonna be harsh, how it's gonna be long, the locations on the city map. You could pick the ones you're gonna be exploring over the scenario, how many days till the ceasefire, what would be the intensity of the conflict. So creating a scenario for someone else is good, for yourself, not really. We screwed it. In the meantime, we've made also many small free updates. For example, we cooperated with a Polish punk rock band, Cool Kids of Death. I think they are known only in Poland. They sing in Polish, so not a chance to go outside, I guess. But they are pretty popular, and one of the guys in this band was working with me on one of the videos we've made for the game. So he was like, you know, I'm gonna give you my songs, and the songs are available in the in-game radio, because in this world of mine you can build a radio to listen to the news and music and so on, and those songs are available in the game by this band, Cool Kids of Death. Interestingly, the label who published them is Sony, the big Sony Music holding, or whatever they are called. And while the artist gave us the songs for free, Sony charged us a ton of money, but we still did that. We can afford it. Also, we supported all external initiatives because the game became sort of, like I told you, cultural phenomenon. Many people asked us about licensing, and pretty much we're giving the license for free if we believe the project makes sense. The board game is one of such projects. I was supporting the guys. You need to keep in mind that the board game is not done by us. Only the title, This War of Mine, is ours, the universum is ours, but entire design, rules, everything behind the title is done by Michał Oracz and Jakub Wiśniewski, the two Polish guys quite famous in Poland for board game design. They've made, for example, Neuroshima Hex. Anyway, I was working with the guys on the Kickstarter campaign for this game, and we raised over 600,000 British pounds. And wow, we did not expect that, but in the end it turned out that the support from community is great. People actually want to play depressing board game. So they require, they demand, not that they require, they demand that kind of experiences, which is pretty cool. So we're supporting all those external initiatives. There was a guy from Canada, from Vancouver, who make independent films. He wanted to make a film about it, so we gave him the license as well. But his campaign on Kickstarter failed completely. It was badly prepared. But anyway, my point was that during these 2 years, we supported all external initiatives that made any sense and they were related to this war of mine. Now, as a summary of what I've been talking about, let me check the timing. Yeah. As a summary, I'd like to tell you not to underline the points I was just talking about, but what we learned. You heard it from me already. The game became cultural phenomenon, like a media darling for mainstream media. But in most cases, we did not reach those media on our own. They reached us. However, our approach, and I recommend it to you this heavily, our approach was to hook them up and use every opportunity we had, every single one. So when the media appeared asking us for interview, even if it was a small newspaper from small city in Poland, we did that. If a television appeared, we did that. If a radio appeared, we did that. If a radio appeared from Australia, we did that over Skype. So we used every single opportunity, and I recommend it to you heavily. It's gonna eat your time with any of your games, but I recommend to do it because when you reach mainstream media, you can reach people that are not gamers every day, but they are still gamers. And mainstream can make a bigger buzz than actually quite classical gaming media. What we also did, we had a coherent communication. So we've created, and we're going to be doing it with our with more of our games. What I mean, we've created a short document called Brand Book, thinking about our game as a marketing product. I hate it, but it's true. Remember, your game is a product, and you need to know how to market it. So we created a brand book, and we're going to be using it in our next titles as well. This document defines what is your tonality. If your game is funny, your tonality should be funny. What are the communication channels? what is the key message behind it. Not everyone is a soldier, and we were underlining this slogan many, many times. So I recommend for you to create such brand book. In the end, it works. Our coherent communication helped us to sustain the buzz and maintain maybe the buzz and the hype. And we're serious, despite funny content made by community, like this Lord Gaben character available in This War of Mine, because I believe, because the opportunity to give people creative freedom will allow you to make a lot of more content around your game, discussion around your game, everything that will help it to have a long life. So people were making funny things in the game. We were serious. So when the media asked us about funny things in the game, we were talking. We are just giving a freedom of creativity. What people do, it's up to them. Yet we believe serious personal stories will be the key, and actually, it happened. Another interesting, probably you know it. It's not a surprise, right? That business-wise, when you have a I'm not talking about hit, but I'm talking about solid game, because that's enough. The tail is very long. What I mean is that your game will be sold, for example, on Steam, GOG, Games Republic, Humble Store, PS4 store, anywhere. It's gonna be sold over maybe 3 years at least. If you make discounts, if you keep adding new content, your title is gonna live. This War of Mine was a very good example. However, our first game made in 2011, at least made under 11-bit Studios label, it's still being sold till this day. So remember about this business wide, that the tail is very long. Another thing that we learned, and we're gonna be sticking to it strongly, is important to know your vision. What I mean, if you have a studio making farming simulators, your vision is we create the best farming simulators in the universe, and stick to his vision, because your vision will tell you what is your long-term goal? Where do you want to be in 10 years from now? What do you want to create in 10 years from now? What is the common topic for your games? For example, sports games, this is general topic. Strategy games, another general topic. Serious games, another group that can underline all your projects. Or hardcore free-to-play shooters, it's another vision. So anyway, what I recommend is to really think about the vision, not only of your game, but also about your studio. What you want to do in 10 years from now. If you are 3 indie guys constituting an independent studio, your vision is to be the same 3 independent guys in 10 years from now. That's a vision, because that will tell you what sort of projects you want to make on a scale. It's not going to be AAA game, right? So you have 10 years, for example, to create 3 super interesting indie projects. Your vision will tell you. And our vision, after This War of Mine, is to leave a mark. So we figure out that we're pretty good at reaching major audience, people interested in serious hardcore experiences, people who demand emotional touch, so to speak, in games. So we figure out this is our vision, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we want to do. And because of that, our new thing called Frostpunk, I'm gonna do a little promotion now. Frostpunk is also a serious game. Not like This War of Mine. We don't want to be labeled depressing war games developers. Plus, many people, including media, have been asking us, okay, so you've made This War of Mine, it's a super artistic project, very emotional, so the bar is right high. What are you going to do next? So that's weird, but somehow people expect us to make This War of Mine 2.0, not maybe a traditional sequel, but to make something even more shocking and depressing and being another cultural phenomenon. And we've been thinking about it a lot. And in the end, we figured out that no, we don't want to be depressing This War of Mine, depressing game developers like This War of Mine 2.0, 3.0, and so on. We want to make thought-provoking games that would leave a mark. So when you leave a computer, you should be still thinking about what you just played. This is our vision. This is what we wanna do. And Frostpunk, which is actually being developed for more than 2 years now, almost 2.5 to be precise. It was announced in August. So Frostpunk is a game that speaks about what man is capable of when pushed to the limit. So you have a society living in a frozen world, and question is what happens to the society when it's pushed to its limits. So at the end, let me just show you the teaser of the game to give you a little mood what it's gonna be about. I hope audio will work. It is.
Now winter nights enlarge the number of their hours, and clouds their storms discharge upon the airy towers. Let now the chimneys blaze, and cups o'erflow with wine. Let well-turned words amaze with harmony divine.
This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Do we have some Q&As? I don't know. Pavel? Okay, so do you have any questions? Not really? I see a gentleman in the back having a question.
Hi. Has your studio changed somehow since the start of the development of this War of Mine?
Yeah. Yeah, when we were starting This War of Mine, we were about 20. Now we are about 70. So we're few times bigger. We have a different approach. Our first project was Anomaly Wars on Earth. Nothing revolutionary, but it flipped tower defense genre upside down because it was a tower offense game. So back then our vision was to make innovative things. We kind of betrayed ourselves because instead of thinking about new innovative things, we started to make sequels and sequels. So in the end, we've made 5 Anomaly games. And they were commercially very successful. However, after the 5th one, I was totally burnt out. So This War of Mine was a super fresh and a big change. But 3 years working on a depressing war game is also something that, like, most of us are done with it. We're still supporting the game, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so as a studio, we rather want to create new breakthrough with each title, and we're growing up. So yeah, there was a change.
Globally, what was the learning path about this evolution after the game?
But what do you mean, learning?
How did you adapt? How did you adapt from like 30 to 70? What was the big change that you were not expecting? What did you learn? out of the success?
So we're growing, maybe not organically, but slowly, hiring 1 man per month, sometimes 2 guys per month, not more than that. So the growth was not big one at some point. We changed that. We learned that when you are 70, you need to become, sadly, a little corporation, because internally communication, it's not gonna be easy. When you are 20 guys, it's just super easy to stand up and say something like, hey, hey, hey guys, let's do this, let's do that. When you are 70, you need some sort of corporational organization. I hate this word, but it's actually true. You need some structures, you need some proper divisions, some senior creators, lead creators. So we learned that we are not an indie team anymore. We're becoming a sort of corporation. I hate this word because we are super independent in what we do and we are a bunch of crazy guys. But organizational-wise, we need to be a little corporation. I hope this is the answer you expected.
Next.
Yeah, there's a gentleman
Hi.
here.
I like the game, but it was enough disturbing, so I will probably not play it again. And I have a question on your audience, because to me it seems that there's a general player, which is a little bit
Where's
like
the
this.
person asking me? Because I don't see. Okay.
And there's a survival player, which is like, give me more suffering. So my question is, like, how you tackle this issue on like different audiences.
Well, we think it's about the quality of the experience, not about the length. So, replayability, all those things, they are irrelevant in my opinion. So you got hooked by the message somehow. A friend told you, you saw one of our trailers. Some message got you interested enough to buy the game. Then you played it, it was challenging, maybe a little depressing. That was the emotion we wanted to raise in you. If you feel enough, that's fine. It's still about the emotions, even if they are short, not about long-term engagement, I think. This applies to every game, maybe except Football Manager, because you need to play entire season.
Hi. Thanks for a great presentation. I have a very quick question. In the middle of your presentation, you mentioned the fact that one of the packs you made didn't get enough traction in the media because there wasn't enough controversy. Is that something you guys try to implement with everything you work with?
No, that was just a side thought, I guess. Because interestingly, the game became a media darling. I use this term. Like, media loved it. It was widely covered. But at some point, it was still seen as something already, maybe not widely covered, but something saturated enough in media. Because when you look for example, at Call of Duty, every single stupid news about this game is everywhere. Like, no gun in Call of Duty. Like, who the hell cares? But it's still there. So sometimes I get the impression that indie studios are making controversial news just to be covered in media. So that was like an ironic thought from me that maybe it was not controversial enough. But honestly, I think it's just because the game has been covered enough and still it's an indie game, not AAA stuff. Maybe The Witcher is a really good example because every single bullshit news about The Witcher is everywhere because I don't know why, but it's there. On the other hand, you have this game from Poland about this sociopath killer. What was the name? Do you remember? Hatred. Exactly. So I think hatred was being done as hatred just to be controversial enough to win media attention, and it did. But the game was like okay-ish, in my opinion. Okay.
Hi. Are you anyhow concerned about pirated versions of your game, or do you even care? Do you collect any statistics about
Not
platforms?
So yeah, we're not fighting piracy at all. I think pirates are people who can actually make more hype around your game, because you're not going to make any money from it anyway, because most of the pirates don't buy games anyway, but some don't have money, so what they do is they actually download a torrent, and then they buy your game when it's discounted or something. But the big number of pirates can make hype because they still post Facebook posts, they tweet about it, they write on forums. Pirates can make hype. What we actually did with this war of mine a few days after the release, actually it was a few days after I got back from Praha to Warsaw 2 years ago, our game became like a hot topic on Pirate Bay. It made the front page. So what we did is that we posted 10 Steam keys under the torrent, and we wrote something like, you know what, we understand that sometimes you guys don't have money, so just get these Steam keys and feel free to spread the message about our game, and this way you can help us. And this news was pretty much everywhere. So we make a marketing out of piracy. So no, we're not fighting piracy, not really. But I remember numbers from Android version of Anomaly 2, I think. On the very first day, because back then when you created an application for Android, you were limited to 50 megabytes. So bigger applications had to have a backup server. Two options, Google server or your own server in case Google server is not responding. So of course we put up our own server. And on the very first day, the pirated copies that were, and the 50 megabytes application was actually a downloader to download the extra stuff, around 200 megabytes. So on the very first day, mainly from China, we had a download of 30 terabytes on one day. So that shows the scale. And in the end, I think piracy, especially on an Android, that's like 95% of your copies are pirated. So only 5% is what you sell of entire group of people that owns your game. On iOS, the number of piracy is really small because you need to jailbreak the phone. And on PC, I'm guessing one copy sold means at least 4 pirated copies. I'm thinking about 1 to 4 ratio. And you shouldn't be fighting it. Just encourage pirates to spread the word about your game, because that way you will encourage your legal customers to buy a game as well. Okay, so thank you once again, and hook me up.